All right, I got you.
You caught the call earlier. Good thing I wasn't doing anything.
I know. I'm going to go a little earlier each week and see if I can catch you. All right, everybody. Here we are. This is the third episode of the J&J Estate Guide. We were just sitting here having a conversation about a creative way to generate some income for a estate, and we figured let's go ahead and turn this thing into a nice little episode here, so you guys can actually join in on the conversation. So I'm sitting here with John Peterson, who's a world-renowned, esteemed real estate investor here in the Washington, D.C. area. I met John 20 years ago whenever we were both starting out our careers. We were just getting our businesses going, and we really kindled a nice friendship over the years. John's gone on to do well over 1,000 properties up and down the East Coast, across the country now, and has also trained some people to become their own real estate investors and get their own businesses started. So it's a pleasure for me to be sitting here with you.
Absolutely. Justin, as he said, we met around 20 years ago, and Justin is a man that wears many hats for my business and other people. He's a renovator. He's a builder. He also works with a lot of companies on social media, and also, maybe more importantly, just social media, generating sales for people online. And I appreciate his assistance and help and mentoring of me, certainly helping my business grow over the years. And I do appreciate that intro about working with other investors. Today, actually, I got 2 phone calls from 2 very, very successful people. You know, often, Justin, when you help someone out, a lot of times the student outdoes the teacher. And it was great to catch up with one guy in particular that's doing tremendous things out there with real estate and buying and selling and holding properties and all the things that we always spend our time talking about every day. So it's great. It's great to pass some of this information on.
Which is actually what led to this part of the conversation. So we were talking about generating some income. Mm-hmm. Specifically, we're here to talk about estates and how we can actually help people through that process, kind of guide people through that process. We've seen a lot of people make mistakes and a lot of successes through the years as well, where some people are just tired of property. We've been there to help them out of those troublesome properties. But we've also seen people really do well for the estate itself, and through that probate process. We want to pass along a few of those things, share some of those ideas. Let's talk about a property today that I know you've had some recent experience in. Owner financing and estate property is something that a lot of people don't realize. Hey, if you're early in that probate process, you can actually owner finance that property and generate some income for the estate.
Absolutely. As you said, both Justin and I work a lot with estate properties, and even before that, right, Justin? We've been, even in episode 2, we talk about the estate process. Like, I'm in the middle of the estate process in a lot of ways. You know, when you get over that age of 50, and if your parents are living or not living, you start thinking about not only your own mortality, but also your parents, your grandparents.
Kids,
so,
kids
so
are a giant factor.
You start thinking about these things. But today, when we were kind of shooting the breeze about owner finance, we were specifically talking about people that are personal representative in the state. So when someone passes away, the court appoints a personal representative. We've talked about that a little bit. As soon as that appointment happens in most states, that personal representative now has the ability to sell assets. They have the ability to sell assets, and those proceeds, if there are any, go into an escrow account, basically. And in most states, all states, probates take a while. They can take, a year, 2 years, and upwards of 3 years. Obviously, depends on the state, depends on the complexity of that estate. So the personal representative can sell that asset, but that doesn't mean the asset's going to be dispersed. So if someone sells a house and they generate $100,000, doesn't mean the heirs are going to get their hands on that $100,000 right away. That probate has to go through that court process. Go ahead.
So one of the things to keep in mind is, if let's just make this real easy on people. If we have a house that's worth $100,000, and maybe we have accumulating bills that are going on within the estate, we all know that taxes still have to be paid, insurance, right. All of those obligations are still there. Let's deal with the property that, just for simplicity's sake, let's call it a $100,000 house. What can somebody do with a $100,000 home?
Well, very simply, if they decide to sell the home and they sell it to an investor, someone like Justin and I, And we construct the deal simply as this. Maybe we give them $10,000 down so they could use that $10,000 within that estate to pay those bills that you mentioned. Okay, some outstanding credit cards, bills, whatever the case may be. That remaining $90,000 now, they can play bank. Okay, they can owner finance that property for a new buyer, for an investor like us. And every month we will pay them an interest rate of return, right? We'll pay them a mortgage payment. So we might pay them, for simple math, let's say we pay them $1,000 every single month. That money now goes back into that estate checking or escrow account, and the estate can use that to continue paying bills and maintaining the estate until the probate is completed, the monies are in the escrow, and they can begin to disperse to the different heirs.
Right.
From our standpoint, from an investor standpoint, we have now the ability to go and do what we do with the house, whether we're going to renovate it and rent it out, or we're going to renovate it and sell it. Once that triggers, right, we either sell it or we refinance it. That money that they own or finance, that remaining $90,000, would go back into them, would go back to them, back into the account, and now they can disperse it. So it's a tremendous way to make a little income on assets that are basically sitting there, for lack of a better word, dead. I mean, they don't do anything. They're not generating any income.
Yeah, you've got a dormant asset that's not really doing anything for you. If nothing else, you actually have something that's causing expenses to pile up. So
dormant is a better word than dead. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So that's what's eventually going to happen to all of us. We're all going to go dormant. But
that's right. That's right. That's right.
All right. So that's one of the ways. We just thought it's a pretty creative way for people to generate some income. We've used that tactic with a lot of people through the years. It's been beneficial to both of us. For us as investors, we don't have to go out to a bank and get financing. We've put enough money down that the estate person in charge of the estate, the executors, not nervous that we're just going to walk on the property, or that we're going to come in and vandalize it or anything like that. We put enough down that they've got some assurances that we're actually going to take care of the property and make improvements on it. So now you've got a property that might be worth $100,000 today as it sits, but as we start to make those improvements, it might be worth $120,000, $130,000 in just the span of a few months.
Absolutely. And this is all done through an attorney, meaning it's all done correctly. The mortgage and or deed of trust, depending on your state, is secured against the property. So everything is done above board. But Justin, I do want to make one just little note for maybe people tuning in too. This doesn't necessarily also just have to happen to a state. Let's say someone is up in years. Let's say they've owned a house for many, many years and they decide to sell the house. Maybe they want to use owner financing as a way to generate, that monthly income that we all need in our retirement. It's a great way for older homeowners, if you will, to allow them to sell their house as is, but then still generate a monthly income based on that house. And again, the risk is pretty nominal. As you said, we're improving the value of the home. We're using it as a rental or reselling it. So it's a tremendous way for a lot of people to avoid a lot of costs, real estate commissions, a lot of closing costs, appraisals, home inspections. It's a great way to dispose of real estate, but still keep your hand in it, if you will, and generate income.
All right. So there you go. That's our third episode. I like that one. I like sharing those kind of little tips are always fun to pass along to people. And that's a creative one that we've opened a lot of people up to through the years. It's worked out really well. 15 years ago, I still get a call every once in a while from a friend that I made in a transaction where we did that for his father, and his father was able to move on out of that property, but he generated some income. We turned it into a rental for a little while, and then ultimately ended up selling that property. But he was actually able to generate some income, move on to his next home, enjoyed the community that he moved to, and picked up a girlfriend along the way. So
there you go. That little income helps.
All right. So here we go. We're off again on a Friday afternoon. That's enjoyable. I'm off to I picked up a new driver in the house this week. So
good for you.
Literally got his driver's ed permit yesterday. So he got to do the last little stretch down the street, and we didn't hit anything. So day one.
Buckle up. So anybody in the DC greater metro area, buckle up this weekend. There's a new driver.
Exactly.
That's great. Well, as you know, too, as we end this session, this is one of my favorite weekends of the year because it's the beginning of the March Madness. So
I know.
that will be Basically on the couch most of the weekend, watching my Maryland Terrapins. They're out of the Big Ten tournament, but waiting for Selection Sunday, seeing where they're going to end up at March Madness. So I love this time of year. Love it.
Yeah, absolutely. March is always good. Always fun. All right, everybody. So thanks a lot for joining us. We'll be back next week. We're gonna keep sharing some of these tips, and we'll try to make them as relevant as possible and bring in some current stories along the way. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Take care.